And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to APAC North. One game has gone down. We still have 3 more to go. We turn to attention to yet another Japan versus Korea matchup. We're on the desk here. I'm Milosh, and with me are Jess and Stein Happers with his beautiful shirt as well.
Thank you.
It looks very...
And it doesn't even need a collar. Like, I've got the collar on usually when I'm on the desk, but he's got a nice little half collar.
Yeah.
I like
You're pretty, boy, Stein.
Thank you.
Not gonna lie. Well, here we are now. FAV versus TALON is where we have our attention placed to, and we're gonna go with our first one. FAV Gaming. Stein, would you please help us out?
Yeah, well, as Des said, he thinks they're in the bin. I think there is still potential. They had a bit of a slow start in stage 1, but we've seen them come back many different times before. So there is definitely going to be opportunity here for them to improve compared to their first stage.
All right, that is, of course, FAV Gaming, our Japanese squad. There's a lot of experience behind them, but it seems like the difficulty is always trying to hit those top positions in the league and even in Japan League every now and then. Their opponents, though, of course, is our Korean squad of TALON. Ms. Bolden, please, go ahead.
Oh, look, they've pleasantly surprised me, and I know we made the mistake of accidentally assuming that Aziz was a brand new player back in the first stage, and we're like, oh my god, they've made a roster change. No, it's just PMW, and he just wanted a brand new name, but he kept the veracity behind him that he had in stage 1, the highest rated player in all of APAC North. He is a star, and he is just an awesome addition to, of course, the roster of TALON. I expect big things, and the reason I say that is I think Soldier's taken a little bit to get onto the roster, just to acclimatize a little bit. So I do think that as a result, we'll need to have a little bit more time for them. They've shown so much greatness. Look back to stage 1. They had 3 full wins, 4 full losses, no OT whatsoever. So my hope is that they turn some of those losses even into OT.
Yeah, because that is very important. At least getting 1 point out of it. It's something that has saved a lot of teams over this past stage in the early times of 2021, and will continue to do so through stage 2 and 3 by the end of the year. Our head-to-head, you guys picked 1 player out of each one of these 2 teams. I'm quite curious to see who they are. Again, it's FAV Gaming versus TALON, and Classic Japan versus Korea. Kind of middle of the board, I guess, for the top teams of their region. And it's Shin and Aziz. What are you supposed to learn from this one, Stan?
As you said, like Azzy, or previously known as PMW, the first match that comes up was the actual first match where we thought he was a new player. That wasn't Villa. He was playing on Nomad. He was literally getting 3 kills from the flank every single time. Perfect flank watch he was, and able to get a couple of clutches as well. So overall, he's just been a very consistent player for TALON. He's been very good in just picking up these kills left and right and making sure that openings are there and the flanks is being watched at the same time.
Which is so odd to have your flex player not only have a huge statistic, I saw he had 11 opening kills there, a huge KD as a result, being the highest rated player. I just want to point out the fact your flex player should not be the one getting all those opening kills. But the fact that he does is amazing. Going up against Shin, who I'll reference really quickly, we're just picking the highest rated player for the team. So that's all we're going about.
Zofa players are just built different.
I mean, they have to be built different. They're Sophia players. And they don't have withstand anymore. So you got to literally be built different.
It is simple as it can get. Let's see which map we're going to be playing on in the series. Again, 7-map pool. That is the total. It goes down to only 1, and we're going to go to Cafe Dostoyevsky. FAV Gaming having the final pick. They'll ban out Chalet, our newest map, of course, in that pool that we had added in only a few months ago. They're starting on the attacking side. For Cafe Dostoyevsky, they pick the map, their opponents get to pick their starting side, and TALON will go for the usual safe side on Cafe, but Cafe has been such a played map over the past 6 or so months that it kind of equalized itself.
I don't know, if you're looking at FAV, and I know you're going to be able to see their stats as well, it's their second favorite map, at least if you're looking at win percentage, right?
That's the thing, right? But in the meantime, they've had a pretty disappointing stage 1, and now everything has changed again. Like there's changes to Melusi, there's changes to the Evil Eyes, there's going to be Flores, for example. So I'm really wondering if this is going to be playing out the same way as it would have in stage 1.
I mean, good map for both teams. That's the good thing about it, is you don't want to have a one-sided map for one of the teams. So, okay, FAV got to pick second favorite map. That's what was available to them. Cool. You look over to the side of Talon, the only recent match was against, and I believe the icon is SGA. They're like a Challenger League level team. I would consider them a Challenger League level team, even though they're technically a national. They're a great team. They managed to beat them on it, so they technically have a 100% win rate, but it's only one...
Was it relegations?
Was that? No.
No, because they weren't in relegation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you were
no.
casting those.
Yeah. Exactly. We were. You and I were together
yes.
on those. It's great to have Hat back. I love Hat.
He never left.
I never left.
You were not here.
So I was not here. It's great for me to be here with
fair.
I do love it. Great map. I do think this will test both teams. Throwback to when Aziz, former PMW, was Blackbeard main on this map. Yeah, I want to see more of that.
All right, finally, before we go to game, Hap who wins?
Talon.
Yeah. I put Talon.
All right, let's see how it all goes then. Ladies and gentlemen, as is tradition, it's another Japan versus Korea game here in APAC North FAV Gaming versus Talon. And I cannot wait to see how it all comes down on Cafe Dostoevsky. We'll head to snowy Moscow for this one. Just Hap, thank you so much. It is time to toss it to our casters, Mr. Des Achu, and of course, not as big, but still pretty big, Tim Tam Tom, all yours.
Big Tim Tam Tom and him and here as well.
No, I can't hear you.
Nah, we can't hear him.
Are you on air?
Tim?
Can I check it for him?
I mean, I'm loving the iPad. I'm loving the work that you've done there, Des. I'm sure we're going to get your audio sorted any second. Are you back with us?
I'm back here now.
Here we go. See, this is what happens when you give casters buttons.
I don't know. I tell you what. Who was sat here? It was Fluke.
Oh, look.
We'll blame Fluke for
and
this
here
one.
comes the blame game.
It's the way we got to do it. Look, I wasn't sure if you were going
Here
to be...
comes the blame game. Who was sat here before me?
I hate you so much, Tim. I'm glad
Come
that
on,
you're not
Ted,
here.
you know better than that.
Let's get into the game, though, buddy. FAV versus Talon. First one of the season for both of these teams. Of course, given it is the first day, that will come as no big surprise. FAV, a team that I've coined down and said we need to see some big improvements from. Talon, hopefully on the up, because after Azzy's performance in the last stage, top-rated player, 1.30 rating, you're hoping he's got some big guns to deliver in this game today.
Certainly going to be an interesting one here. Two teams that are going to be looking to get off to a great start, I think, is the message here. There's Talon, very close in stage one to doing great things. A couple of results didn't go their way, and FAV, as we know, they're looking to maybe just exercise a demon or two here and come out with a better stage than they had back in stage one. So very important matchup for both of these. We're going to be heading to Cafe. Thatcher is going to be the first ban, so no major surprises there. We'll have the next one coming in, which will be Jackal as well. So pretty much run-of-the-mill so far.
You say run-of-the-mill. I can't remember the last time I saw a Jackal ban coming through on Cafe.
Well, I've been playing a lot of ranked, so that's maybe why I'm used to seeing Jackal.
So for you, you're like, oh yeah, Jackal Calf ban every single time. It feels like the most standard thing. I know exactly where
Insert playing at gold comment here.
I was going to make the comment, but I thought I'd save you, but you can dig that grave yourself if you're really up for it. Valkyrie, the next one, no big surprise. So very often used to seeing those cameras being outside the building, feeding tons of information. I think it was last stage we saw a really interesting one go up through the skylight and onto the roof, so they could see everything going on the roof. Mira going to be the final one being banned away. I think quite heavily focused in towards the holds that we see out of some teams coming through inside of, say, storage and the bathroom on the top floor. Really good for digging things down and stopping teams getting control of piano in the first place. We'll see how it plays out without it. I'm really keen, Ace, to see if Flores becomes impactful here too, because previously, for Guts on the previous map, they were playing the Zofia, the Ashe, and the Flores all together. It looks to be a bit of a Japanese thing, because now FAV are looking to step up and do exactly the same.
Well, it's always fascinating when you come in. I wasn't sure how much impact Flores would have necessarily. The thing is, for me, Flores sits on a little bit of a fence here as to, his likely use within pro play, because on the one side, you've got the fact that his gadget is a drone, and these guys, they are really good at shooting drones out very, very quickly. So you look at that and I think, it's coming in with that beeping noise. You've got the information being given to the defenders that this thing is on its way in. And so you really should be picking those up and just taking them out. You should be shooting them. You can shoot them out so long as they haven't anchored themselves. So that's one way of looking at it. But then on the flip side, you've got the usefulness of Flores. He's an alternative to Thatcher. He can go in there and he can clear out electronic devices. If anything now, where Thatcher only disables them, Flores destroys them. So you've got that to factor in as well. And it's just going to be this really interesting sort of counterplay. You look at the lineups. I always look and think, who would they replace? Who would you put Flores in instead of? So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, more and more games go on, how that pans out. But as you say, FAV coming in, they've made the pick immediately.
They're going for this extended hold set up inside a cigar shop as well, one that we're not wholly unfamiliar with. Idea being you're digging in there with a couple of ADSs, a mute jammer, normally a shield, and your whole game plan is to waste as much time as possible before you're forced out, and normally, to be completely honest, forced to die, as well as you're cut from the south windows, you're cut from the cigar drop, from the red stairs hatch drop. Lots of things can really threaten you, so it's a matter of how much time can you waste here. FAV is going to be a good test for them as to how quickly they can get this one cleared out and start looking more towards the site than just in towards cigar shop.
Soldier just looking to get aggressive and hold on to those windows for the time being, right up there in the faces of the rappel. And sometimes you will catch people out with that because they don't always expect somebody to be taking such an aggressive line. But of course, that's where those attacker drones come in to try and feed that information. And we've got a new overlay, Des, so we can see exactly what defenders and attackers are looking at if they are not just actively in the map. So Shin, for example, we just saw the flip there. When you can see the sledgehammer icon, that means that Shin is just playing normally as now, just in their own first person. But then you get the drones. Afro, for example, now showing that Flores drone is out and active and he is in that view. So it's showing us exactly what's going on. So right now we can see that a couple of the FAV players are still in that drone, giving that information out.
The fact that he's still here and not being pressured out on this south window just speaks volumes. And I said it earlier on, I like where Soldier's playing here because he can contest the south window and stop this castle wall being removed. But it should be one of the simplest things in the world for a Zofia or an Ash to get onto this south window, remove the castle barricade, and force him out of cigar shop. For FAV, it's taken them 2 minutes to do just that, but number 2 comes in as number 1 against Tomorrow, walking away alive. Then Tomorrow even saw him there, and that's the smoke being taken out of all things.
Number 2 doing the business for you there, Des. I know that you're a particular fan of that player. Afro getting with the upside down rappel as well to shut down Aziz, and this is looking good for FAV so far. Managed to get themselves the opening 2. We're coming in towards that final 30 seconds. Number 2 goes big and finds another before being shut down, but his job is done here on the Ash. He's got himself his kills. Shut down from Lumbar. It's Afro again. A double for him, a double for number 2, and right now it's all up to Soldier. He's got information, but it ain't going to matter how much he knows, Des, because Typon gets in and shuts the man down. That's round 1 going to FAV.
As soon as they find those 2 opening kills, I think walking first into Piano and getting the cross-map long angle onto the smoke at the other end of the map to you, that in itself is a bit of a ridiculous shot to connect onto. To then have the rappel coming down onto the white stairs window and just, I think, anticipating that someone might be there, or he was just blind spraying the barricade to remove it. I don't know. But as is pays the cost, 5 versus 3, you tend to know how rounds are going to progress from there. Again, do like what Talon did. Their hold inside a cigar shop wasted a good 2 minutes. If maybe they just kept themselves a little bit safer and not been so aggressive, at least on white stairs, or the smoke holding the angle that maybe you shouldn't have been, that could have been a 5 versus 5 for a lot longer, and FAV could have been staring down the face of a time hitting 0 and them losing the round. But here they walk away the winner. Downstairs we go into kitchen. Talon setting up shop in there with the mute and the Mozzie on side, looking towards that information prevention that we always love speaking about so much, Ace.
We certainly do. Now, talking about prevention, Des, the FAV gaming fans out there, they're going to be at least breathing a small sigh of relief. Back in stage 1, this same matchup started out with a 6-0 half in favour of Talon. It was played out on Clubhouse, so already FAV have managed to improve on what they achieved last time around. It took them until round 7 to get a round on the board in that matchup, but they've managed to come away and absolutely snatch out the top floor from underneath Talon there and just really get it locked locked down now. It's an interesting one because I've spoken about the top floor before. It does sort of vary region by region, but Bar and Cocktail is a site that we see a heavy loss ratio for the defenders quite often. So Talon trying to get it through, but not managing to sneak it over the line, move themselves down to Kitchen for this one. Immediate pressure coming into that small bakery window there, just looking to peek through in towards the main bakery area, but it's looking like we're going to have mostly a top floor roam clearance moving down through the map from FAV here, so they're going to get themselves onto that top floor, clear out Bar and Cocktail, look to get down, clear out Train and Mining, and then get that sledge to work and just start opening up those vertical angles into sight.
It's all about the time and pacing that I'm always concerned about with FAV. That needs to be of paramount importance to them, is getting themselves into these power positions a bit earlier on, not relying on taking those longer shots that we saw come through for them in the previous round. Number 2 with his second entry of the game. Soldier getting a C4 back onto Shin, mind you, from below, so a bit of a trade coming back out to either side, making it a 4 versus 4, and I think for the Hibana, no, not for the Hibana, sorry, those icons are going to kill me. Losing the sledge, that vertical removal isn't going to be the biggest deal, given you've still got the Ash with the breaching charges, you've got a breaching round, you've got Flores. We saw on the previous map, for example, Meryu using the Flores to open up the flooring inside of Hallway and Clubhouse. You dodge away from C4s, you're not going to get caught by them, and the explosion range is the same as the breaching round, so no concern there at all.
You mentioned the icons there. You know, it is very interesting. We can see right now that Shin is spectating K-Razor on the Hibana.
Why aren't you on drones?
To watch what were those. Why aren't you on drones? But let's not forget, there's other information that can be gained. Of course, these players are locked into their viewpoint and they're looking for those gunfights. So by having another set of eyes on their screen, it may be that other information is picked up by Shin and can be fed back through to the team. Now, we also see the Banshee change in action there, Des. So when you get within range of those Banshees now, a little bit of a nerf has come into them and you're able to shoot them out. You don't need to melee them anymore, so you can do that from a distance. So an interesting change. We'll see how that plays out for the pick rate of Malusi as well. So 45 seconds left to go. 4 versus 3. FAV looking pretty good once again, but still on the mid floor. Need to think about getting moving towards site now.
They're looking okay, I think. Yeah, the timeliness was the problem for me. Again, 4 versus 3. You had about 60 seconds to play with. You've got no excuse really to not get an execute on the go. I don't think they're aware of the player that's currently hanging off to the right-hand side here. It's Kanos playing on the Aruni. In they come. Oh, crouches down and goes to the shot, but misses it. Doesn't know about the second, but does the next one swing in? Yes, he does. Kanos can win those. No, he can't. Taipon finds it. He's in a 1 versus 2 as Soldier hits his triple for the round. There's 10 seconds still to play with here, Ace. He's going to try and get the plant down. Out comes a C4. That should be good night. No, it catches on. He's going to stick it here, but does he know where the defenders are? There's one playing across from him inside a kitchen. The other one coming in from red. He's got to take 2. He can't take both. Tomorrow takes the kill. It's going to be 1-1 after 2 rounds.
That was a great effort from Taipon there. 15 seconds left to go and just takes the option to get that diffuser down on the ground. It's always a risk when you're in a 1 versus 2, but he stuck it. Pros don't fake. And he saw it through. He got a little bit fortunate on that nitro toss, just hitting the steel pillar on its way through, and it just prevented that damage from being able to finish him off. But unfortunately for him, unable to find those final gunfights, unable to win them, and he was just shut down. And Talon, they get their first round on the board, disabling that diffuser.
Indeed. I mean, it was a dicey situation. I like the fact they gave it another 5-10 seconds there before going for the fight onto him in the 2 versus 1, rather than just taking a peek from red and then 3 seconds later someone peeks from kitchen. They made sure there was a bit of coordination. Good from Talon, but they are losing these early gunfights, Ace. FAV the ones coming out on top so far. And we all saw the kind of damage that did to teams like Cloud9 when we were at SI. Despite getting those opening kills early in the round, it didn't always correlate, and in fact more often than not didn't correlate into round wins. So let's make sure we're being mindful of that and see if FAV can make sure they're keeping the pressure up as these rounds go by. Finding ourselves back on the top floor for at least the start of this one. Going to be another hold inside a cigar shop, which I'm happy with. I thought this defense worked really well. It did burn through about 2 minutes. It's then how it correlates down into the effects that it plays for Talon. They've got 60 seconds left, knowing they're in a 5 versus 5 after conceding 1 position. That's when you should feel pretty comfortable to win. This reinforcement, by the way, an interesting one that you very rarely see. Normally you'll see one of those left soft into bathrooms, so you can rotate between white corridor and into storage quite comfortably, but at least here for Talon, they've opted to reinforce the whole thing off.
They have, and I think that decision possibly plays into the fact that they've got a little bit of a soft wall still playing into piano from barback storage. So that gives them the option to try and deny that access into piano. They're going to be using both sides of that, it looks, as Aruni punches out the washroom side as well. So now they've got 2 options there. They can play one in washroom, they need to be careful because there's no rotation out of there, so they can be shut down from white corridor. But more likely, they can play somebody in the bar back storage there who can just peek out from behind. It's sort of like a half mirror window, really, without the mirror window. So you've got to be careful because, of course, you don't have that sort of advanced information that a mirror window would give you, but they can still make that challenge through.
It feels like it's kind of become the meta, I think, on Cafe Top Floor, where for the longest time it was you stick someone on Pixel, stick them behind a shield, and just say, hey, they can do enough work from there. Now it's actually about, one, stepping someone inside of Piano itself. It's about having this longer angle contester inside of storage and still having the option to play from Pixel. So you've got 2, 3, 4 positions in which you can defend the west side of the map and waste a lot of time on this top floor. I do wonder what it does in terms of popularity and win rate for this side. I'll have to look into it a bit later on, how, since we've come into this recent sort of style of playing the top floor, whether or not downstairs is therefore more defendable, whether the stats are looking better, because for FAV, they might get a good harsh lesson here in just how irritating this extended hold can be.
The drones are raining in right now. 3 players in and out of those drones, feeding information back in. Tomorrow still locked in his position behind deployable shield. He's going to be looking to pressure still into Piano. He's just playing this right down the corner of that pillar, and I like it. He's stopping them moving into Cigar freely, but he's also looking to challenge onto that breach. But he needs to be careful because FAV have got multiple men on the rappels, and they're going to be looking for any opportunity to shut down Talon here and to close out Tomorrow. But there it is. Soldier on the run out, rips number 2 off the rappel, and he's having absolutely none of that as Tomorrow now, his position just got a lot safer, Des.
I don't know, they've taken so long here, Fav. They've had someone on the upside down rappel watching that door at the bottom of white stairs for about 45 seconds, and they haven't actioned off the back of it. They've lost the man there as he got shut out from Bakery after the run out came through. They should have moved on this a long time ago, and now they're going to have to go and even tank some damage. Goes for the swing, gets the kill, but Shin trades it back. 2.5 minutes wasted, and they've lost 2 attackers. Brilliant setup from Talon, and a very lethargic attack coming out of FAV.
Playing on that window rappel was something that we saw Bolo do extremely well at SI. And as you say, it was about decisiveness and aggressiveness. That's what he brought to that position. He just went in there, won his gunfights, and cleared out that cigar shop spot. Now, I don't think they're aware. The man on red, no, they're not. It's 2. Aziz and Soldier both getting on the action. The one on white stairs cannot find the double for himself, but it doesn't matter because the outcome is the same. They know the last is behind bar, but Shin somehow comes away with 2 out of his 3 kills on the round. Doesn't matter though as the time ticks away, and Talon able to just wriggle their way away into the map and keep themselves alive to win on time. But whew, that got hairy at the end.
It did a little bit. Again, the touching point we spoke about was this hold inside a cigar shop. What, 2.5 minutes put in that round? Last time round it was 2. So rather than speeding up and learning how to deal with it better, FAV are actually slowing down and struggling a little bit more with it here. It's great for Tomorrow to be in that spot. I imagine he had a bit of cover coming in from Pixel. If he didn't, then why the hell weren't FAV pulling that go trigger a little bit sooner? You touched on it in the round. Bolo at SI was excellent. And getting onto that window in the opening 30 seconds of a round, blowing through it with a concussion, and then holding that angle and pinning the cigar shop player into the bottom left corner for someone else then to lob a grenade in, to drop through a hatch and threaten him. There are so many options, but FAV made that look like they were trying to solve the world's hardest puzzle rather than just breaking open a cigar hold. That's got to change next time round. Either way, round 4, we go downstairs. Reading and Fireplace going to be the next point of defense. This may not set up the full length in terms of going all the way into Cigar, but I do expect to see some presence from Talon on the top floor. Much easier to hold it above and just say to them, look, now you've got to try and break us out of playing inside a cocktail. Let's see how well you can deal with that.
Headed in towards the action phase then. We've still got Arune up on that top floor, just deploying Surya gates here, there and everywhere, just trying to close off particularly this eastern side. As you said, Des, it's all about holding cocktail here. It's all going to be focused on holding that east side. Look at that. We've got, what, 1, 2, 3 reinforcements there, a deployable shield. We've got a laser gate. We've got an absolute ton of utility just stacked up towards keeping Talon alive. On that top floor, we've got a mute jammer. We've got an ADS. We've got about 1/3 of the team's utility up here, if not more. That tells you everything you need to know. If you're coming in new to watching Siege and you're thinking, where's the action going to be? How do I know where the push is going to come to? How do I know where this defense is focused? That's how you know.
The small things here on this top floor. It's the laser gates, the things that are going to eat through some of that utility. I'm looking towards those 3 C4s. You touched on them, I think, earlier on, saying how the damage they can do from below can be massive. If someone gets themselves inside a cocktail, starts trying to open that floor up, we spoke about it earlier on with things like the Flores, well, at least with those drones, you'll be a little bit safer in getting things opened up, rather than having, say, the sledge above who would be eating those face falls. It's going to be a hot breach into Piano from number 2. More for style points than anything else at this point, I imagine, as there is no one there to greet him. It's like making a massive, majestic entrance and going, ta-da! And no one's there to witness it. Oh, tomorrow. Easiest kill in the world. Shin looking totally the wrong way.
Shuts him down and leaves us now.
Where's the red drone there, though, Ace? Like, surely there's a drone somewhere on red to watch out for these kind of flanks.
You have to be aware, whether it's a Claymore, whether it's a drone, whether it's an air jab, whether it's gridlock, whatever it is, you gotta cover off those flanks, especially on a map like Cafe, where you will get teams trying to rotate on you, and that's exactly what Tomorrow does. Just goes in, picks his kill, thank you very much, off I go, I'm gonna live to fight another day in this one, and pause to be a nuisance. Number 2 manages to level things up. 4 versus 4 now coming into the final minute, but Talon, they're just gonna drop away from this. They're not gonna take this fight too heavy now. They've burnt 2 minutes. FAV start to get rid of that utility, but it's not really going to matter right now because they're trying to play into the mid floor.
I'm wondering if I have to start converting back over to the Church of number 2, by the way. The entries in this game, or at least the early kills in the early round, have been
I knew it wouldn't take long.
It wouldn't take long at all, my friend. You're absolutely correct. The impact that he's had in the early round has been quite prolific with the early kills that he's picking up here, and more often than not, the first 2 rounds, it was the entries. This round here, it's the one to level the scoring back and find the first opening kill for his team onto the opposite side. Soldier being the one who so far has been the huge step-up performer for Talon as the one who's been shut out, but despite it being a 4 versus 4 race, this plan is going down. Do they not know about this? He's going to swing round, but it's a little bit too late now, friend. They missed the spray, and oh my god, K-Razor somehow has found this. Canis has come up behind. They've got Tomorrow as well, but from above, there is going to be death raining in. It's bullets from Afro. A 3 versus 1, and a little bit of a lapse of attention coming out of Talon is going to cost them the round here, most likely. Tomorrow with it all to do, a 1 versus 3 and 25 seconds. Something tells me this is simply not going to go his way.
Certainly not. We've got about 11 seconds left for something to be done here. Tomorrow needs to find a bulk of kills. Can't find one as Typon shuts him down from above. Great presence there to just hold down that plant. As you say, a little bit of Talon taking their eye off the ball there, I think.
This is like slipping through the laser gates in an old game that you used to play. You know, the one dodge the lasers to get through to the bank safe or something. I don't know how on earth K-Razor has managed to slip his way inside of Reading, get the plant down when there are 2 players hanging at the top of Brown Stairs. They had Tomorrow and I believe it was, forget the second one, not going to lie. There were 2 of them hanging there and I was like, okay, attackers have got the vertical, but they had no actual cover to get inside of the room itself. They must have slipped in there in the perfect moment when no one was paying attention. So much so that for Talon, they were there like, wait a sec, there's a plant going down? When did this happen? Either way, 2 for 2. It's balanced things back out a little bit more. The Nomad going to get 6 picked in for Typon here on the side of FAV. We commented at the very start of that round about the flanks coming up red, and I think now FAV have got to a stage where they're saying these flanks are giving us a massive headache. We need to shut them down. Drones probably aren't going to do it for us. Let's get the Nomad on side instead.
As I said, you've got to be bringing something. You've got to be using some sort of utility to shut them down here on Cafe, because otherwise they can be devastating. Now, they've got away with one there, as you say. They managed to get in, get the diffuser down, and it didn't really matter. The damage wasn't catastrophic for them, but it is something that they need to pay attention to. To be fair, if anything, they may actually suffer a little bit less with it on this site going to Kitchen, because a lot of the defenders will keep themselves likely downstairs as soon as that top floor push comes through. But there is always the potential, of course, for the sneak attack up white or red stairs when you're trying to open up those vertical angles, and the air jabs, I'm sure, will be employed to try and prevent now. Now, interestingly, half of the bakery wall has been left open. It's not massively unusual. It is something that we see. You'll have somebody playing in behind bakery counter, and it just offers them a rotation back into sight. But it is important then that you keep hold of this, because otherwise you've done part of the attacker's work for them. You've given them that access into one of the default plant spots. So very important little key battle area that is behind that bakery counter. Who holds on to it? Who manages to get the kills there?
We spoke about this quite a lot back at SI as well, the yokai drones and their usage on this map, especially on Kitchen. I can think probably a couple of dozen dreams were broken with the yokai drones inside a Kitchen, namely the ones coming out towards the default plant spot inside a Coffee. they just hide them in the rafters, and before you know it, oh, we killed one, well, now there's a second one coming out from behind like a service tray. They just come out of the woodwork, it feels like. And at the same time, some teams are using them quite aggressively, putting them inside a bakery and saying, look, this is now the equivalent of a drone for us. We're feeding you information on what's going on outside the door. You guys can make an aggressive play here you want, if you want to swing for it. It's so more impactful than it used to be, where it was a case of a couple of static invisible drones. Now you'll find them being used a lot more actively by players like Soldier, who again has been the big fragger for the team. Here he's stepping back into a more defensive supportive role, although you could maybe argue that for the majority of the team, given the things that you're seeing coming out. The smoke, the clash, the echo, all of those rather passive until later in the round.
Shin just in upstairs now, established on the sledge, starting to open things up. A little bit of a swing and a miss there, but he will not miss a second time as he gets that vertical angle that he needs. The nades will come out for anybody playing in or around Freezer. Just looking to clear out utility as well along the way. We've still 5 versus 5. It's a little bit slower in terms of that opening kill. As you can see, the nade there has cleared out the Kaid electrical, which is what the hope was, and that's going to allow the Freezer hatch to be open. So they have pretty much foregone the push into Bakery here, and what's happening is that's allowing Soldier to play in behind that counter now. He's got the Yokai drones, he's on the Echo, and he's just going to be feeding information. He's going to be very important in this late round.
Look who it is, Ace. Are you in the church? Are you in church as well? Church is in session, mate. The believers are listening. 7 kills, 2 for himself in this round, kicking it off at the very least. Great to get FAV much closer towards the finish line. Given the scoreline is 2-2, you need to be seeing this from players probably on Talon's side as well. Soldier, the one that you're looking at again, having a big impact so far to step up and make more happen. Worth noting as well, the smoke was the one who went down in that early engage. So you lost the C4 from Labyrinth, you've lost the smokes coming out from Tomorrow. That's quite a lot of late round utility now gone. I love that pinch push, by the way. He had no way of walking out of that one alive.
Number 2 finds his 3rd in the round, and this is all falling apart for Talon right now as FAV, they get in and start washing over them like a tide, and ultimately Echo is found by number 2. That's going to be 4 on the round for him. What a performance we are seeing so far, turning into a talisman for FAV right now and leading them towards a victory here on Cafe. 3-2 it is on the scoreboard. FAV looking pretty dominant, you've got to say. Those rounds that Talon have managed to pick up, they haven't always been the most convincing, Des, by comparison to the way that FAV are playing.
I think heavily influenced by FAV getting very stuck, mainly up on that top floor, as we spoke about a couple of times, then being pinned as it might stand. Here, there's a timeout coming through, so guess what? I'm going to pop my bottom down on the chair again, and we can have a good chat, Ace, about this one whilst we've got a bit of time to discuss a little bit further. We spoke again about the fact that it came down to the time looking inside of the cigar shop. We're going back to that 3rd floor now. That is going to be the big difference maker for me. If this ends at 3-3, FAV will probably have shown yet again that they cannot break open this cigar shop hold. We do keep on funneling on it, but these are crucial holes that you see a lot of teams doing that I think if you want to be contesting to be one of the top 2, top 3 teams, not just in APAC North, but in the region when it comes around to playoffs, you've got to be able to break this thing apart.
Well, you're right about it on an individual site basis, but look at the bigger picture as well, Des. FAV have got an opportunity here to take the lead in this first half. And when we look at stage 1, we look into stage 2. How are they going to compare? How are they going to improve? And it's true for a number of teams here in APAC that they need to be taking these opportunities. They need to be finding advantage when they can. And a 4-2 half on the attack of Cafe will be great for FAV. If they let this slip away to 3-3, they're going to be kicking themselves, especially if the result doesn't go their way. So we need to see them now, as you say, individually on a site basis. Let's see them deal with that cigar hold, but also broader scope within the game. Let's see them get that 4-2 half and really put Talon to the sword here.
I was just really enjoying how massive your head looked next to me then while we were on camera. It's quite bizarre.
I mean, I've got quite. I feel I've always got quite a big head anyway. I struggle to get hats.
Yeah, you're not me a large kind of guy.
Issue. I need those, you know, like the baseball caps with the adjustable bit at the back. Yeah. So I can get it on like the last dot, you know, just to get it to fit on there.
It made me feel better about myself. I've always been told I've got a planet for a head, so then seeing you next to me looking like, I don't know, a whole galaxy in itself was something else, mate. Looking forward to you being out here at some point, of course, so we can have more relative head sizes. 3-2 then. Let's get into this round. Top floor, again, going to be another similar sort of setup. Seeing the Aruni coming along here, a few teams at SI were pairing the castle with the Aruni. So you almost had like a double layer of defense where you'd have the castle barricade going down, you'd have the laser gate in front of it. You'd have to burn through when you could considered that you'd have the laser gate and the castle barricade also on the south window, as well as the cigar shop door. That's basically 4 lots of utility just to get through a hole to be able to threaten the angle onto the player that's inside a cigar shop. There is no castle here, but do expect to see those laser gates being used towards protecting that angle.
Quick progress being made. We've got Sledge up on the top floor, just opening up those hatches, looking to give the vertical access that is needed. Ooh, very nearly lose a drone there. I'm not sure if he did. I think it was very possible as he went through. You've got to be careful with those lines of fire. Now, Soldier just looking to hold that reverse angle. It's a tight one. You can see the barely pixels on there, but they need to be careful on both sides of this because those angles work both ways, and they will if any opportunity is given, manage to find them. Now, Typon, he's got himself on that rappel once again, but this is what we saw last time. Fav just unable to close this out, and once again Soldier gets aggressive and takes Typon down, and Talon are not scared at defending against these rappels.
They look so confident in this hole. We spoke about it an awful lot, but it is really starting to shape up that way. They just in that case there, as soon as he hears the flashbang come in and hit the laser gate, he's like, right, I'm not going to sit here and hold the angle, I'm going to push on the angle instead, and maybe expecting that he'd see Typon holding the window. No, he was getting himself ready to do something else. So what do? Easiest headshot of his life. They walk away with the opener. A second almost coming in as number 2 goes down, but K-Razor, I think, bringing him down just in the nick of time. Soldier going for a challenge, gets himself put down here. Number 2 still needs rezzing, and that will be done in just a moment, but Aziz steps round, finds one for himself. A 3 versus 3. 2 minutes wasted. Again, I'd say another massive resounding success for Talon.
Aziz gets himself downstairs, and remember, he's got a nitro in hand, so could be instrumental here now. Canos, he's down on that bottom floor. Can he get an angle? There is a man up on the new balcony. It's number 2, just holding, and as he pushes forward, Canos finds the long angle, exactly what he was looking for, and shuts down the Ash, taking that final 20 HP. Aziz, Labyrinth, they finish things off onto Afro and Shin, and that is another good defense of the top floor coming in from Talon there. Again, Fav just unable to break that cigar side hold. Not able to make any progress beyond red stairs, really.
Now, we said that during the timeout. We could be sat here looking at a 3-3, and again, Fav would have failed to break it. Now, they did break it. They even got control of the cigar shop itself and used that to contest onto Soldier. Didn't expect the aggressive swing from a third member involved in that fight, and Aziz, I don't think. However, you saw it all boil down from there. They had no idea what was going on elsewhere around the map. Just goes to show, just presenting constant puzzles and challenges to the other side is a great way of playing the game. When they solve one, there's another 3 waiting for them on the other side. Great stuff from Talon. I really look forward to seeing when they play this map in future, if teams can break it open. Now, I imagine your eyes have settled very quickly, Ace, on that 6th pick coming in. It's going to be the Amaru stepping in for Aziz here to see if Talon can, not so much cheese it, but maybe catch Fav by surprise.
I love the Amaru pick. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. The strats that you get built around it. So in this case, on Cafe, if you're wondering what Amaru is going to be used for, it's very possibly just to get to the roof quickly. We quite often see it. It's just get up to the roof quickly, apply some pressure from Skylight, maybe before the defenders are expecting it, maybe get yourself a cheap pick. There is the odd occasion where we see somebody rush to roof and just drop Skylight and see what they can do, and that's the excitement that Amaru brings. Also, you've got the option for coming up from hatches underneath, so again, there's the potential to surprise teams. We've seen it used on this map to pop up into Cocktail and to get themselves into a planting position as well. So a fascinating operator. I don't think we will necessarily see one of the high-octane uses that I've described. I think it will just be to get to roof quickly, but we'll see in the next few seconds.
I think he wants to try and make something happen on Scarlet here before anyone's really able to expect, or maybe it's just to get to the roof quick, God knows at this point. I thought we might see it coming into, for example, the new balcony push. We've seen a few teams use it there, sweep into Cocktail, get the plant down, for example. That is an option. Don't think it's going to be used here, but may do later on into the round. Time will tell. Just as I mentioned, by the way, Fav have gone and employed that strat that I spoke about after that last round with the castle and the Iruni laser gates coming in together. That's really trying to fortify their position inside of Piano. Quite ironic when they're a team that struggled so much to break it that they thought, you know what, let's also employ it ourselves. Clearly, they know the strengths and weaknesses of the strat, just aren't quite sure how to break it themselves when they're on the attacking side.
Something to watch for here is whether the attackers actually fail in this round because they are sort of wanting some particular utility, because they've brought Amaru along but not really utilised. It was 35 seconds into the round before any challenge was made onto Skylight, and you could have got up there in that time anyway. So if we find ourselves lacking a hard breach, or we find ourselves lacking Asher's, breaching charges, or whatever it might be, you then start questioning that comp a little bit, and we'll see as this progresses on. Amaru's got a good gun, and there's still, great use there, but it could be one to watch for. With 5 versus 5 coming into the halfway point, we've had the red stairs drop now. We've got the smoke there, just still plowing canisters out onto that doorway to prevent Tomorrow from moving forward. The nades are going to rain in. I don't think he's going to find him. He's on a very close angle. He puts it into the small cigar shop there, but won't find any joy with that explosive. Looks to make the challenge, but it's number 2 again, Des. He swings him and shuts the man down with the SMG.
I have immediate questions about where the drones were in that case. Number 2 a second with the shotgun before Labyrinth finally puts him in the dirt. But now the longer challenge coming through. Labyrinth finding a second and neutralizing the efforts of number 2 so far as we're into that 3 versus 3. Despite it not quite being done the same way, it is playing out much the same as FAV's attack did. 2 minutes in, 2 dead on either side. It's almost an identical mirror match.
35 seconds left to go. Labyrinth spots out the bulletproof camera, but does not smash it or take it down. You can, of course, now shatter the panels of glass. Now, this is the Amaru coming in, Des. This could be make or break for this operator pick here. Aziz is ready to go. He's just waiting for the call. The call comes. He tries to make his way in. Shin shuts down Labyrinth. Afro gets Aziz. They are alive and alert to this danger. FAV shutting them down a man at a time. Soldier makes the challenge into Piano, but loses a lot of life doing it. 1 versus 2 now, surely a matter of time, and time is the important factor. 3 seconds left to go. He finds one. He's not going to find the last. It was a great effort there, but just too little sand left in the hourglass. There's
a little bit cheeky, I think, to try and go for those contests there with the final 2 players. Like, the right play, maybe you would have said, would be to either swing in together or just let the clock hit 0, let him try a plant. But they wanted to pad those stats. I feel that. Instead, it's only Soldier that walks away with those stats on his I suppose, ranking in that case. Either way, a pretty good round from FAV overall. I spoke about that starting early on, the 3 versus 3. After 2 minutes, they did manage to break open the defense. Did it without worrying about getting control of Piano, though. That castle barricade was still intact on the south cigar shop door. They just pushed pretty blindly straight in through the top of red, and that was their point of ingress. Questions to be had around the droning of that, because they didn't know the player was holding close right. They thought he was still inside of the cubby. He wasn't. He was sat there waiting. It was number 2, and that transpired into a double kill. Small things like that, although people go, oh, how important can not getting a drone in there be? That's how important it can be, because you lose 2 members off the back of it because of that player not being picked off.
Just having a look at that replay there. Soldier getting himself a great spray down, and then this second, it's the thing is, it almost deserved the round. It's a shame for Talon not to pick it up there, because those 2 kills from Soldier were fantastic, but just not enough. Ultimately, you can get all the beautiful kills you want. You can put them down for the camera all day long, but you're not going to find that last man, and the 3 minutes tick away. The result will be the same, and that was a round for FAV Gaming, successfully defending that top floor. So now, instead of going to Kitchen Des, we've got an interesting site choice. They're going to be going to Fireplace and Mining this time. So not even usually the first choice mid-floor site. That would usually be Reading. So a little bit sort of off-brand here.
We've seen some really interesting setups on this side as well, where there's big presence out towards red. Normally attackers will come down there, look to get one of the reinforced walls open. That can be your point of plant. Often it's going to be a massive war around pillars to get that broken open, or attackers can come up white stairs and look to go for a plant inside of Fireplace. I don't think we're going to see any kind of crazy hijinks that you might be used to seeing inside of your rank games, where it's an Amaru coming springing up into Fireplace window, for example. It should be a bit more composed than that. We'll see what Talon's approach is going to be, but I like it from FAV that it's keeping the other side guessing. For Talon, it's going to be another puzzle for them to work their way through.
So 45 seconds in, top floor presence still intact. Talon, as you say, needing to start picking apart that puzzle. We've got men on the rappel, but the Mozzie for the time being, number 2, he's locked inside of Piano, and he's an important one to pick up on. We can see 11 and 5 so far. There's 11 kills inside of 7 rounds. He's having a great match here, and this is more of the number 2 that we want to see. Now, in goes that Flores drone. He's looking for his man, but it will be picked up by the Mozzie Pest. Number 2, ready for the challenge now. Knows Flores must be somewhere nearby. Opens up the wall with his nitro. Looks to make a challenge. Does he find him? No. Tomorrow able to shut him down. And that's going to be the opener going to Talon. But Shin, he manages to trade out with one for Fav there, finding Soldier with a headshot, and that leaves us 4 versus 4 at the halfway point. Plenty of aggression in this matchup. Those opening kills generally coming quite early.
It's always these back and forths, isn't it? We keep on speaking about this, 2 for 2 that we see in the first minute or so, the first 60 to 120 seconds between both teams. It has been very back and forth when starting on the top floor in pretty much all of these rounds, and that's what we like to see, a competitive game coming out. A C4 being committed to get rid of the X-Kairos, maybe not the most effective given the fact that you'll have plenty more of those still to commit as another 4 get laid onto it, and sadly you have considerably less C4s than there are X-Kairos in the game. That hatch will be opened up, and now at least they have the pressure into the connector room of the train that sits between the two sites.
50 seconds left to go. Time will become a factor. 4 versus 4, but here we go. Talon, they get things moving with a kill from Aziz and a kill from Canos, and that leaves us now 4 versus 2, and all of a sudden that 40 seconds looks like 5 minutes if you are Shin or Typon. Typon down will be finished off. 1 versus 4 now, and Shin, he is back to the wall. He's inside of the train room. It's all he can do here to try and keep an eye on both sides, but you can see the pressure is mounting. Mining window, he finds himself 1. Can he get another at the double door? 1 versus 3, and a lot of work left to do. 15 seconds. The clock could have been his friend, but no. Aziz finds a friend coming out at the end of his rifle that connects with the head there, and that's going to finish out the round for Talon.
Good composure from Talon as well. A moment of desperation or of just excitement coming out of FAV, maybe with this peak coming out the bottom of White Stairs. They had a player jumping out of the fireplace window. Unfortunately for them, I don't think they were aware there was a player actually on the rappel above the window who got the shutdown onto one, then flicked onto the bottom of White to connect onto the next one. And that was basically it, done and dusted for FAV. Good from Talon to be able to deal with that aggression. And I like how in the final 30 seconds there, they didn't go crazy trying to find the last man. They lost one. We're like, okay, we have an idea where he is now. We know that he's in train. Pause for 5-10 seconds, then go for the play with one man covering the other so we can get this plant down. It was well orchestrated. 4-4. Both games so far today being incredibly close. The one previously was at 5-5. Didn't go to overtime. Did head 7-5 to Guts. I wonder if this one goes the same way or if we see it go all the way through to OT.
We're going to be defending down in Kitchen this time around for round 9 then. I can see a fairly standard setup. We've got both walls into Bakery reinforced off. I discussed that last time, of course, with the rotation being left open. So that is going to be Bakery counter probably getting sort of left largely alone. It's going to be given up to the attackers, I would imagine. We've got the peak holes coming out onto Red Stairs and also Coat Check. And then we've got a rotation out of Freezer. So this time around, by contrast to the hold that we saw previously where it was all about trying to hold on to Bakery counter, this time it's going to be trying to hold on to VIP particularly. We've got the rotation into Freezer there, so they can't give up White Stairs. FAV have to hold on to that area as best they can for as long as they can, because otherwise the push can come in freely from the Freezer. But given the fact that they've ignored Bakery somewhat, they might try to push it that way. But number 2, he's 3 floors up and he's just ready for this fight.
Finds the one cheeky, but they manage to skirt around the angle. This is the problem with the double floor ones. It's a bit more limited in scope in terms of what you can see. It's the same on Consulate, for example, but they managed to make it work. Labyrinth
Diffuser
going in for the plant here. They must know about this. Grenade comes out over the top to try and catch the defender who's in. They'll stick it. 3 versus 3 then. 40 seconds now, of course, on the countdown. You've got about 20 to neutralize things out here, Fav, if you want to keep this one going, or Talon pull ahead to 5-4.
I'm not sure what's just happened in this round. It's come through at absolute breakneck speed. We had Talon trying to rush into sight. Number 2 was in position, ready to try and close it down, and did so for a few seconds. But Talon, they were not prevented. They were not perturbed at all. Got in there, got the diffuser down. Kills are raining on both sides. It's all down to Aziz to try and defend this diffuser. He's not in a great position to do it. There's number 2's going to stick this. He's going to have the time. Typon on the cover. And Fav, despite being rushed all over from Talon, managed to turn it around.
Bit of a kerfuffle there inside a restaurant. Saw it with Aziz being the only one left alive, and I think they must have had that notification of he'll be pushing in from that side of the map. Just be aware of that case. Perfectly timed swing as he goes in to try and stop the diffuse coming off. I think more on reaction to make sure the diffuser wasn't going to get shut off than it was knowing that he was pushing in at that exact moment. But I'm with you. That was a little bit of insanity coming out of Talon. Did not expect them to find their way inside of the kitchen to the west with the plant going down. It managed to stick, but unfortunately couldn't quite convert the 3 versus 3 into a round win. Fav at 5-4. Does it now go to 5-5, the same as the first game, or do they pull themselves ahead to match point and make it 6-4?
I'll be interested to watch that round back after the day is done, Des, because I feel like Talon were maybe a little bit of a victim of their own rush there. You know, we see it occasionally where they get themselves in very quickly, get the diffuser down, but they're not set ready for that post plant, and they're finding themselves in positions and gunfights that aren't necessarily advantageous to them. And I'm not sure if Talon just fell foul of that there and were just a little bit ahead of themselves when that diffuser went down. So I'll be interested to have a look back and see if that was the case. But I know there was a good couple of gunfights won by FAV as well, so it could well be that ultimately the firepower of FAV has just managed to get them over the line. But one way or another, it was an interesting and a very quick round. That much is fair to say.
We've all seen this before. Bash it enough times that it's one hit away. If someone does come to challenge you, you can smash it down immediately without having to get locked into the animation and can steamroll your way through into piano. Again, speaking about this same strat, it has definitely dominated conversations on the top floor. FAV going for the full extent of it with the castle and the Aruni, coming out together. On Talon's side, it was just the castle that they were employing earlier on, or at some points also brought out the Aruni to support them in their endeavors as well. So here for FAV, we're going to see how much time we can burn through, what the kind of balance on either side in terms of operator count is after about that 2-minute mark, because historically it's been the 3 versus 3 once 2 minutes have been consumed by either side. Small adaptation though. Previous time round, FAV did not have a player inside a cigar shop. They didn't have ADSs in there, they didn't have a shield in there. That instead was committed inside of piano itself, so it was more supporting the player that was holding the more aggressive angles to make sure he couldn't be naded than worrying about a player like number 2 who's currently sat really deep. That was good reaction, by the way. If he pulled that even half a second earlier, that was gone. Number 2 had to get out and was probably going to be forced into a cross angle.
That's it. You've got to get those drones anchored down, because that is when they can clear out. That's when they can't be shot anymore. Now, I'm not sure if that one was anchored down or actually went into the mute jammer. I think it just went into the mute jammer. And again, that is another one lost. And so Talon here not dealing with that utility very well. The mute jammer inside of Cigar Shop is a particularly nasty little piece of utility because it's difficult to clear out. You've got a man stood right on top of it defending it, as we saw. Number 2 doing a great job of keeping it in place. And it just prevents a lot of droning, it prevents the wall being opened up, it just makes life a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, here Canos has gone down. 3 of those drones committed in, no outcome. Nothing cleared out. The player's still inside a cigar shop. Yes, they've now got the south window if they wanted to have that control, but this should have been set up a minute and a half ago. You're in such a powerful position here where you can potentially catch someone if they come running across. But as it stands, FAV just holding down, not worrying about this too much. You've got this crossfire support from Shin. You've got the man inside a cigar shop. Everything's just looking pretty, I suppose, dicey. In fact, no, they're bailed out of here now. So number 2 has left here, moved instead of back across bar, but they've still got the longer angles there to make sure playing inside a piano is no walk in the park.
Soldier just looking for that long angle. We've seen him already manipulate this top floor fantastically well to find himself a double back in round 7. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same thing here. He's looking for his angles, but he can't quite find it now. Then Shin goes on the dash out from the washroom and cleans up Soldier as he gets that kill into piano. 5 versus 3, and FAV looking good to give themselves a match point opportunity here. 15 seconds left to go. Tomorrow looking to pressure in. He's got to be careful about that laser gate. It will finish him off. And then we've got the other 2 kills raining in at the same time. It was a good late round collapse from FAV there to finish things off, and they get themselves a match point opportunity here in round 11.
Forgetting about not being able to play inside a piano, what about Cigar Shop? He steps from bar door after being shot, goes across to the right, gets shot from bathroom. There is just nowhere safe on that top floor for the attackers to get in safely, it felt like. There was just constant aggression coming out of FAV, a challenge at all times, but I'll go back to a question in this round as the same one that I had in round number 7 when number 2 was getting that 2K inside a cigar shop. Where are the drones from Talon? If they had a drone inside of White there, even one sat at the top of stairs, or had one going in ahead of Soldier as he pushed in quite aggressively as the Zofia, they would have found Shin playing on that corner and probably been able to deal with him. They had a concussion remaining, they had another impact on the Zofia, they had the tools to deal with it. But that droning is what's lacking at the minute, and I think is what's really stung Talon in a couple of these rounds.
We're going to be heading into Reading Room as our potential final site here, as it, of course, best of 12. So the first to 7 will win. If we find the score at 6-all, we will head into 3 rounds of overtime, with the first to take 2 rounds coming out the victor. Now, FAV, they're not going to want to get to that stage because it does throw away some points for them. If they win in regular time inside the 12 rounds, then it's a full 3 points. If they go through to overtime, then it's only 2, and the winners will pick up up a point as well. Sorry, the losers will pick up a point as well. So they're going to be looking to claim the full spoils here inside of Cafe for their opener. And I tell you what, Des, that for me, given the results that we had in stage 1, it's a bit of a coup for FAV if they can come in here and get this full win.
I agree. I think after how things shaped up, and we were speaking about Talon and about FAV earlier on, FAV were finishing in, what, 6th, and I think Talon were in 5th, so the two very close. Talon had 3 wins, FAV had 2, they had 1 overtime, I believe. We spoke about, I believe it was Cyclops doing this at Invite against G2 and Empire. You're still seeing it raining across the Japanese teams. It's happened once again here with a cheeky start coming out from Shin.
Just going in there and getting aggressive. And the thing is, it's perfectly timed. Talon, they're on the back foot. Their back's to the wall now. They know they've got no more mistakes to make. So the focus sometimes slips off the basics. It slips away from the easy things, which should be watching your spawn peaks. And I mean, come on. It's a very popular common spawn peak out of that top window near the minibar inside a piano. But they've lost the man. Not only have they lost the man, Des, they've lost Nomad. So the air jabs go as well. No protection on those flanks. We've seen how effective they can be here so far today. Something that they're going to have to be careful of now, Talon.
Starting out on this west, it should be a little more comfortable this time around. We spoke about it in the first half. When you're defending on the second floor, you will not commit as many resources to the top floor because you still need to be defending what's going on the second floor itself where the site is. So it's a bit more comfortable for Talon to get in, but chances are what you're going to see is a hole coming out towards the east. In fact, a slightly extended one coming out here where normally you'd reinforce the 2 east walls inside of storage. They've gone for the 2 into bathroom, the 2 facing in towards piano itself or towards bar, sorry. No, it's piano, I'm a liar. As well as the castle barricade coming down onto the west storage door. So quite a heavy setup. They've got the barbed wire coming out, shields, bulletproofs. They're really throwing the kitchen sink at them and then some. But they don't know about this. It's tomorrow. Just vaulting over a shield, finding 1, finding 2. The FAV defense is in tatters. Labyrinth finds another. 4 versus 2 and 50 seconds to play. This should be a Talon round, Ace.
Certainly should be, FAV. They're holding on with everything they've got. They can see the pings coming out. Too late on the... No, I thought it was going to be too late on the Nitro, but absolutely not as it shuts down Talon. And that brings us now to 2 versus 3. Tomorrow losing his life to the vertical explosives there, and time could become a factor here, Des. We've only got 30 seconds left to go. Talon's still on the top floor, trying to find something with the vertical angles, but FAV, they're aware that that is what is happening, and they're keeping themselves safe. Now, they're going to have to look for a drop of the hatch potentially here, and I think FAV, they're lined up ready for this. They've dipped themselves back and they're just looking to keep these gunfights at range here. 10 seconds left to go, and it's time for Talon to get moving. K-Razor, he moves forward, can't find one. Soldier shuts him down. It's all down to Typon. Diffuser going down. It will be activated, and this is a Talon round as it looked all the way.
Was looking close for a couple of seconds there. I thought they might be able to get away with the disrupt as they came dropping into utility, but by the looks of it, the defenders of FAV were expecting a drop instead to come through the new balcony, go inside the reading room door, and then stick a plant. Instead, it was down towards the south. So a little bit of a misread there. It happens. It's your best guess in some cases, and that one comes back to bite them. Now we get to head downstairs for round number 12. FAV win this one. They walk away 7-5 as their Japanese brothers in Guts did. Otherwise, it goes through to overtime. We then start breaking down into the no one's really the true winner because no one gets 3 points. Instead, the winner of overtime gets 2 points. The loser walks away with 1.
Well, we've said it a number of times, Des. We've said it a number of times. It's something that we saw in Stage 1 APAC was a problem closing games out, and this is where now this is the sharp end of that. This is where teams need to drag it over the line. Talon, of course, don't have that opportunity. Their only hope at this point is overtime. But FAV, they need to come through and they need to close this out. They need to get those maximum points. If you look at their stage last time around, a good 3-point win is a huge boost for them coming into week 1. It takes the pressure off. It starts to push you up the table. It really is important for them to get this one over the line in terms of confidence and in terms of that league table.
Range on that C4 surprised me. I was with you as well, by the way. I thought it was going to miss.
He must have been low health. It must have been something there.
Or just at the edge of max damage. God knows, either way, it didn't work out all too well for him, but still worked out relatively well for Talon, who got themselves the round. And look what's stepping back in, Ace. I think they expected to see a different site to the one that we're currently going to. Not too sure on the Amaru's use on this site in particular, playing onto the downstairs. Maybe they know something that we don't here, want to try and catch someone out on the roam, pretty sharpish. You can do that with the Amaru. I'm still keeping a very close eye on the use of the Flores, by the way. It has been limited for Talon. They've tried to put it in a place or two, but it's either been shot out, caught by a mute jammer, timed out because it wasn't near anywhere effective. It's not been the best.
I think that's honestly what we're likely to see with the Flores drone at pro level play. As I said, you know, we saw we had the perfect example. Number 2 is exactly what I was talking about. You know, it was just a half a second flick shot, bang, drone taken out, and that's it. You know, you're going to have to be so quick and so precise. An interesting element to it could be team interplay as well, Des, because had pressure been applied to number 2 at that exact moment, all of a sudden, guess what? He can't shoot out the drone. So there's going to be an element of that creeps in as well. It's going to be almost like your yin candelas. You know, you get them in there at the right time, you push with it, and if you can time that right, it could be devastating. And I think that's where Flores is going to fall into. But because of that, I think he'll end up a bit more of a niche pick. He's going to be very situational, I'd imagine.
Oh, drones. I spoke about it a lot this game. Strikes again, number 2, completely unknown. Here inside a piano finds the opening kill onto Tomorrow. And again, knowing you're at a point here where if you lose this round, you're done. That is going to be a massive blow losing Tomorrow. You lose those breaching rounds potentially. You lose the Zofia with the impacts. You lose so much. And you've also lost the Amaru, who's trying to do something a bit aggressive there at the bottom of white. Shin being all too ready for it. Fav in a 5 versus 3 and 75 seconds to play. The attacker's still trying to get top floor control. They should not be losing this round, Ace.
They certainly shouldn't, but that's exactly... Well, it's what Talon are facing right now. They just cannot move number 2. He does get shut down ultimately on the vigil, but guess what? Typon's there to back him up. He is traded out, but the damage is done. It's 1 versus 3 here. Fab surely get this over the line now. Canos looks to drop down. He's got to go all the way to kitchen. Remember this, all this fighting, all this death has happened up on the top floor, and we are 2 floors away on the very bottom level for this site. Shots are just coming in now to just chip away at Canos. They know they don't need to take this gunfight head to head. He's burning utility as he goes, but there's 3 locked in sight, and Fav are playing this exactly right, Des. They're just going to hold on to their angles here. They've got the information that they need. They know where he's coming from. They don't need to take this fight.
They don't. Play defensively, wait, let him come into you. In this case, he charges into the room, tries to go for it, but K-Razor with the shotgun. And just like in the previous fixture, it's going to be the Japanese team coming out victorious. Fav capitalizing on a lack of droning coming out from Talon will take all 3 points.
Now, I'm sure, Des, there might be a clip just knocking about somewhere from about an hour ago where you were talking about Fav. Do you remember what you said?
No, what did I say, mate?
I'm pretty sure that you jumped ship.
Did I?
I'm pretty sure you did, Des.
Don't remember this, mate. Someone's clearly got the clip and put my voice over it. You know, technology these days is a wonderful thing, and for Fav, while the technology of Flores, we saw an awful lot in this game between both teams, or all 4 teams that we've seen play today. They've all made use of it at some point or another. But for Fav, at the very least, again, despite having 4 drones for the side of Talon, still not super effective at using that to clear out the other side. And 1 vigil on the top floor is all it takes to play spoiler to Talon's party. Fav taking all 3 points. Let's go over to the Desto and get their thoughts on how this game went.
Thank you so much, Des and Big Ish Tim.